right. Welcome back to Kill the Computer. As always, Caleb, how are you doing today? What's up?
Doing well. It's Sunday night. I won't get into the details, but I did enter a chili cook-off today that I did not win, unfortunately. But it's nice, you know, to be in a room full of chili enthusiasts is always nice.
Just like the average hoople head. That's like connecting to like the average American, I feel like.
Absolutely.
You're on the ground like connecting with the people that really, the real Americans, as they say. Yeah.
But doing well.
Fuck yeah. Hopefully next year you can win your chili. You got to work on it. You have shit to do.
Yeah.
You're going to be in the lab.
The work continues.
And today we are joined by Matt Bernstein of the A Bit Fruity podcast. How you doing?
Hey. Oh my God, I am good. I'm so happy to be here with you once again.
Yeah.
I had sort of an interesting day online because I don't know if you saw this, but Sydney Sweeney did an interview in Cosmo where she was like, I'm not a political person. Stop asking me about politics. And I kind of made like a retort Instagram reel just because I thought it was a good example of like, you know, people who think that they're apolitical because it's like they don't talk about who they vote for or something. And they don't understand that like all things are political. And especially when you have like as much like access and capital and all this stuff that Sydney does. And anyway, so I made this video and it kind of went a little bit widespread, which is cool, you know, but like Sydney Sweeney has shooters, you know. Like
shooters other than like weird old men, like 50-year-old men.
No, but those are the people who will like, you know, be all up in your inbox like, oh, you fucking faggot, you just wish you could have, you know, they go back and forth between like, you know, you're a faggot and you just want to be Sydney Sweeney, or like some of them are like, you'll never have a woman like Sydney Sweeney, and it's like, yeah, well, that's probably true, but. Yeah, it's always a fun time.
That's
in the
also
inbox,
what you prefer, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh,
not.
thank God, thank Christ.
Yeah.
No, that's wild though. I didn't know. Like, I guess I'm not too familiar with Instagram. I wouldn't assume that Instagram has those kind of people on it, but like, I guess maybe it does. Maybe there's some weirdos on Instagram too, on Reels.
Yeah.
I assume like they're all on Facebook.
Yeah. I've seen a lot.
But no, I do think that is interesting because she is like through all of this. Actually, this is like actually super related to what I wanted to talk about a little bit with you on this episode. It's just that like she is, I think, one of the best examples of this where you're right. She like is trying to separate herself in the art world from her obvious politics. Because correct me if I'm wrong, isn't her family like all kind of MAGA? Like her mom has worn like a MAGA hat, which is like, of course, every family will have that. But it's like you are very famous and had like a very crazy controversy like 6 months ago about like a weird white supremacy rhetoric, like in an ad. Yeah, the good genes. And like Donald Trump was like endorsing that. And it was like I can understand maybe being in an ad where like the wording is like a weird like double entendre, but then like the right all sort of endorsing that and being like, what's wrong with that? It's like taking it at the face value that we thought it was, and her still being silent is like, I don't know, like you should maybe say some, like even if you come out and say you're pro Trump, like at least you're like being honest. Like I think it's annoying just how she refuses to be honest.
Yeah, well, it's like, what do you think the Christie movie was? You don't think I was political at all? Like, come on, let's be honest.
Right, about like an abused lesbian athlete. Like, yeah. I mean, but like when Sydney says, this is why I think it was an interesting thing for me to talk about in like a 2-minute reel. But I don't really have hope that like Sydney Sweeney as an individual or as a public figure is going to like come to and like become a really vocal like Hannah Einbinder or Rachel Zegler type. Like I'm not looking for that for her, but I do think in her saying, I'm not political, we all know a million people who think that about themselves, especially people outside of our like very politicized social bubbles. And I wanted to speak to them because like, Sydney Sweeney doesn't give a shit, but it's always basically people who are relatively conservative, I think, who say that they're not political, because to imagine themselves as political people would like force them to reckon with what their politics actually are. And like for Sydney Sweeney, like, you know, she's dating a mega Zionist, Scooter Braun.
That's right.
Scooter Braun is
Scooter fucking Scooter.
Dude,
he's a lot of things, but one of them very prominently is he's like an extremely well-connected, like in the world of Zionist politics as it intersects with entertainment. Sydney just did this photo op in Scooter's backyard, which like I pieced together because like through like real estate news and like the backyard and the photo, but like she took a photo with these two Israeli former hostages that this Zionist organization, far-right Zionist organization called Stand With Us posted on their Instagram. And they were like, Sydney Sweeney loves the hostages, da 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 da. And so it's like, she knows that all of this is part of her job, not as an actress, but as a celebrity, at the kind of celebrity she's trying to be.
Yeah.
And for her to reckon with that as like something that is political, which it is, would probably be uncomfortable because it should be. So she just doesn't, you know?
It's weird how so many people on the right, because I think it is usually right wingers that say this. I've never met like a leftist that's like, I'm not political. Like
yeah, exactly.
every leftist will proudly be like, yeah, I'm arguing with Maoists, I'm arguing with Leninists all at the same time on Twitter. Like that's like the average leftist. They won't like try to hide that they're like overtly crazy and political or whatever. Everyone's been there, of course. But I do think it's interesting, like especially after the recent like ICE murders of Renee Good and Alex Preddy, there was a lot of people in the moment that, of course, were not denouncing the violence, but there were a lot of right wingers I saw online that were like, oh, just because like this happened, like I'm a good person, everyone's like getting mad at all of us. I'm a good person personally, just because I think ICE needs to do this, and this. Like, are we supposed to have everything like matter like interpersonally like that? And it's like kind of though. Yeah. Like I think it's just crazy that like right wingers genuinely believe that you can have your political beliefs completely separate from your ideology. Like for me, those are intertwined almost inherently. And they don't seem to believe that's possible, or
that's why they love listening to Rage Against the Machine without understanding like any of the irony, right? They love Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah, no, it's just like their whole lives are built like that. They without like recognizing that fact that it's intertwined.
Yeah, and I think that's a hallmark of like this whole like we can be friends without acknowledging politics kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Of course, there are people like. You know, I don't hear that sentiment a lot among like principled leftists, which is not to say that principled leftists don't have people in their lives who may be Republicans, for example.
For sure.
Like
yeah.
that's complicated, but it's not like I don't really hear principled leftists in my life say things like, you know, I have a relationship with this Republican or something, and we don't care. And we don't talk about it. We don't think about it. It's like, that is a position, that is a right-wing position, because right-wing politics generally like hurts people, you know, because that's what it's about. It's about a hierarchy of human value. And it's interesting. I have a friend who I had for a really, really, really long time, another queer person, and we were super close for a lot of years, and then we just totally fell out over Israel. And we really tried. We tried for a while, and this person just like got so, and it's interesting because they weren't even like really like into Israel or anything before October 7th. It was all like a post October 7th thing. But regardless, they started doing this thing to me where they were like, we're not going to get politics get in the way of our relationship, right? And I was just kind of like, imagine if, because I know this person and I know how much like queer identity means to each of us. And I was like, imagine if someone in your life who was anti-LGBT said that to you about the issue of LGBTQ rights. Like, we're not going to, we wouldn't be friends. You know, we wouldn't stop being friends just because we have different opinions. I'm like, that's what you're asking me to do over the bodies of Palestinians. No. And it's because you've taken the conservative position where you want our relationship to be more important than your belief in that these people deserve to die. I'm going on a tangent, but it's so fundamentally conservative. When I hear people start to say that, I'm like, oh no, something's
It's the start
happening.
of the fall. It's like the start. It's that pivot. It's a very recognizable pivot point. And I think October 7th was for a lot of people, especially like Jewish families. I've heard so many different stories of people who are like Jewish and their parents or whoever else in their family. It was a very like difficult time like that, where there were people that were like all of a sudden super big into Israel and were like, we have to do whatever it takes. And then generally like the younger people in the family being like, no, actually, I don't think we should just kill an entire like group of people.
Yeah.
But it is crazy that like in your example of this like queer friend of yours wasn't able to recognize that, because I mean it was only 20 years ago. I mean, it still happens. It's not entirely gone, where like gay people were like ostracized in like social life and attacked and like even worse things just like 20 years ago, 20 years ago. It's like, this isn't like ancient history. It's not like this is like, oh, we all forgot. It's like, I don't know, people were killed for being gay like 30 years ago.
I realize I'm a bit older than you, but when I was in, technically it was junior high, but high school, just based on a rumor that I was gay, there was a girl that liked me, and I don't know, I just didn't like her back or something. So she started a rumor that I was gay, and all my friends stopped talking to me, and I got this shit kicked out of me so badly that I had to stop going to school.
Are you?
That was not that long ago. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
And I wasn't even gay, like, but that's just how things were, you know what I mean? That was not long ago. So I just don't, you're completely right. That's all, not to like make it about me, but I just to contextualize that for people. It was not long ago when that stuff was happening.
Yeah. I mean, people alive today knew people that were like physically, that were gay, that were like physically, like, you know, attacked in different ways. Yeah. But like, I guess all of this to say is like, I guess I just find it's crazy that, because I've never had that where I'm like, oh, like we have to keep politics out of this. I'm able to like intertwine politics with conservative people in my life. There's a bartender in my neighborhood that I he's a very conservative person, and I enjoy talking to him about very odd things. And some of my family is conservative, so it's like, you can like include politics, but you have to be careful. You have to like handle it well. But it seems like people that generally shift to conservative ideology have a problem with that. I think maybe it's like they recognize that there is something wrong with their belief, and they just don't want to confront that. Like, I don't know if it's that or what it is.
Yeah, I think a lot of times it's like not a conscious thing. I just think I go back to this example where I'm like, you would never say that over an issue that personally affected you. You would be like, I can't overlook this. So why are you willing to overlook it? When the victims of, this political issue are other people that you think are, unworthy of life. But I don't think that they think that deeply about it. I don't. Because it's uncomfortable. Like, I think that is, which goes all the way back to Sydney Sweeney. It's like people don't consider themselves political because everyone's political, but acknowledging the way that we all, like, have I ever purchased a shirt in my life from Zara? Like, yes, I purchased a shirt from Zara. And reckoning with what that means in terms of like exploitative fucking child slave labor in another country, like that's uncomfortable. Yeah. And like, I just think a lot of people don't want to reckon with the political impact of the way that they live. And I think when you are someone like Sydney Sweeney, where you're like in the room with Jeff Bezos, like you have to do that. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah. She was at his wedding. Was that what that was? Like a couple of months ago? Yeah. Jeff Bezos' like wedding or whatever.
She was at his wedding, and even at the time, people were, I mean, the wedding was like a lot of like, who's who of like Hollywood and business. But even then it was like, what could possibly be the relationship between Sydney Sweeney and Jeff Bezos? Like, why, and, and then it comes out this week that she's launching this new lingerie line called Siren, which is spelled SYRN, which is crazy because it's like, it's giving like fast casual, like Startup VC backed.
It's also like a little bit, maybe I'm digging a little bit too deep into it, but I feel like this is like the new, uncanceled. Like, it's a little bit hot button issue, siren. Like, I don't know. It sort of feels a little bit like she's like poking the bear a little bit in a way.
Well, I think the siren thing it's like referencing like sirens like in like mythology.
Sure. Yeah.
Where you're like this like underwater seductress thing. The whole thing is wild. I mean, like, if you go on the website, I mean, her branding's impeccable before it gets to politics, but like you go to the website and it's like in the place where it would be like explore the products, it's like explore the assets.
Okay,
and right next to like a picture of her boobs, you know, so it's But this is all to say, Jeff Bezos, as it turns out, through one of these like VC funds that he's involved in, invested $1 billion into, it was Jeff Bezos and Michael Dell, the two of them.
$1 billion?
$1 billion into Sydney Sweeney's lingerie line. And it's like, okay, well, that's what she was doing at his wedding.
Jeez.
$1 billion.
Yeah. So I hope it works out for
dude.
them.
That's crazy. That's so much. That is OpenAI money. That's like, that could go to OpenAI. That's like an absurd amount of money. Holy shit.
That would power ChatGPT for a good 7 hours.
Yeah.
It is a shocking amount of money to invest in like a direct to consumer lingerie line that like isn't in stores, has no guaranteed success. Like Hailey Bieber's Rhode skincare and beauty line was eventually picked up by Elf for $1 billion, but that was like after it was like this huge TikTok smash hit. It was like, but that's the kind of like fuck you money that these people have, you know. They're just like Sydney Sweeney can probably sell bras, which is also interesting, not to go too far on this tangent, but it's Sydney Sweeney's primary demographic isn't women. And so
it's the people arguing with you in your reel. It's like 50-year-old men.
So, and they're not buying bras. So I'm interested to see what happens.
I genuinely am very curious.
You should start selling used lingerie.
Yes.
Oh, no. That's a totally different route she can go on. Oh, no. But I think, I think this sort of gets to the episode of your podcast that I was on where we talked to Ashley St. Clair, where she is like, people like Sydney Sweeney or whoever don't recognize how like everything is sort of political and are like separating in their mind. But I think that the reason I wanted to talk to her in the way that we did is because it was so notable to me that someone with her platform and like reach, especially in the past when she was more in the conservative world, like finally recognized like the wires crossed. She recognized the impact with like her personal, the political with the personal, and then it was like, oh my god, like so sort of like an avalanche came from that of like what I believe is like genuine change from her and like introspection. And I don't know, I guess what I'm curious about like especially after the ICE killings and especially after the Epstein file released this last week, which I'm sure you've dug into it a little bit. It's like there's fucking disgusting, horrifying shit. Like everyone in this administration, Trump's administration, was involved at some level. It's like, I guess I'm curious if it's like, will we sort of see more people finally cross the wires in their head? And like, I guess what do we do when that happens? Should we like, because when... to be fair to a lot of people, when people saw that we talked to Ashley St. Clair and that I was like responding to her on Twitter, people were like, do not trust her. And I totally understood that instinct. But I was also like, but if we actually believe that people will abandon like the Trump world, we need to maybe take that chance that some of these people are finally like crossing that wire. And I guess how do we distinguish between I guess I'm just curious on how we should like we like the left or like even liberals or whoever, maybe an avalanche of these people that are maybe not being genuine or are being genuine.
Yeah, it's really complicated. I'm no expert. I do think a lot of this, like we can learn a lot in this realm from like cult deprogrammers. And I actually got that comment a lot on our episode, which I was so proud of how that went, by the way. And the response was so gratifying because that was like so tricky and uncomfortable and difficult, but rewarding, I think, for everyone.
Yeah.
But I got a lot of comments from people being like, it sounds like the way that Ashley described it, it sounds like she was in a cult that she had to be ready to leave. And I've been thinking a lot about this, especially in the wake of making that episode and reading people's generally positive, but like varied responses in terms of like, do we trust her? What does it mean to forgive? What does it mean to take accountability? All of that stuff. And, you know, I personally, like on the micro Ashley St. Clair level,
Yeah.
I believe, like you, I believe that she is sincere. And beyond anything that she said to us, you know, while recording or outside of recording, or her tone or her words or anything, I think you have to look at the fact that, and this is publicly available through this Wall Street Journal profile that she did, but Elon Musk offered her a lump sum of $15 million and then an additional $100,000 a month for either 18 or 21 years for the child.
Crazy.
I can't remember, but it all added up to, I think, around a total of like 40 million. And she turned that down because it would have essentially put her under lock and key for the rest of her life. She would have never been able to acknowledge him as the father. She would have never been able to disparage him. And so I think that alone, it's like if she was really trying to grift on the right or the left or anywhere, she reached the top tier of right-wing grifting essentially for a woman.
Yeah, that's the end goal. Like, really, if you think about it, that was the end for her if she wanted to take that.
Every conservative woman's dream to get paid $40 million to have a pedophile's secret baby. That's the end goal.
And then to like not have to do anything ever and to just shut up and like remove yourself from society.
Yeah.
I really do think like that is, especially like, not to get too far from the original question, but like,
yeah.
I've been really fascinated lately with, there's this whole section of TikTok of people who identify as viral growth coaches.
Wait, what?
And they
like people that are like, do this in your videos to get 1 million followers. Is that what you mean? Okay.
Yes. And they sell courses. It's very much like, it gives like MLM energy. Caleb, I don't know if you've seen this.
I am way tuned into this yet.
Caleb knows every like weird TikTok subculture, like
especially
you study
internet
these
marketing
people
stuff. These scumbags, yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing because it's just like the same scams that have always been around, just reinventing themselves for new platforms. But but the thing, and you can hear it, and some of them will say this almost explicitly, is like, you will have a viral video one day if you follow these steps and nothing will ever be the same. They literally said, so many of them say nothing will ever be the same. And that is kind of like, we have reached this state, I think, with like American capitalism, where that's kind of the dream. There's so little security in anything, especially with AI taking people's jobs, that all you want is basically to win the lottery.
Yeah.
And, just really quick.
Yeah.
a thought that I had there. I think part of the reason that and you're right, that I have seen them all quite literally use the same scripts.
Yes.
And that is because there is a course on how to sell courses once you've reached a certain point of clout.
I love it.
Yeah.
They're all fucking interconnected.
Yeah, it's you knocked it out of the park with the MLM thing. I didn't want to interrupt you when you said that, but there's literally a pyramid of like how to sell courses to people on selling courses, and there's that guy probably has somebody above him he's kicking up to. Who knows?
Yeah, how to sell courses on how to sell courses.
Yes,
it's like the derivative
Russian
version.
doll of just scams, dude.
He got that one viral video and it was never the same for him.
Andrew Tate had a course on that a couple of years back of just like how to sell self-improvement misogyny courses or whatever. And
I remember that.
Yeah,
that was like early Tate. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But so this is all to say, it's like the goal at this point, the dream, I think more than ever, is just to win the lottery in whatever form. And Ashley St. Clair won the lottery and then turned it down. And I think that like is the biggest reason for me where I was even like willing to do the episode, because I was like, I think it's true when she said to us that if she wanted money, she wouldn't be talking to us.
Exactly.
And another word that I've been thinking of a lot that I got in one of the comments on our episode was off ramp. And I think what a lot of these people need, and we're talking about, you know, mostly like white people who have voted for Trump up to 3 times. And look at the destruction that's wreaked, you know, and it is hard. And so the word for me, more than like forgiveness, is off ramp. And when I was explaining to some people, like in my personal life, like why I chose to do that episode, I was like, I want to, regardless of what you think about this woman, I want to provide an off ramp to other people who never had the access or anything that Ashley St. Clair had. They've just held on to this like MAGA bullshit for a really long time. And it's not about forgiveness. And like, after all of this is over, like Trump's going to die. This movement, like none of this stuff ever lasts forever. And that doesn't mean there isn't immense destruction that comes with it. But like, this immediate period will end, and there will have to be accountability. There will have to be reparations. There will have to be an honest look at like, what did we do to immigrants? What did we do to fucking trans people? You know, like all of this stuff.
Right.
But to even get there, we need an off ramp. And I think someone as like privileged as me, I feel like if I can help provide that for people at essentially no cost to myself, then I should do that. For it?
No,
but I mean, it's like, for example, like there's so much like, you know, especially in like left-wing discourse, there's this all like, oh, like, do you owe it to other people to do this or that, or to educate them? And I think there's so many people for whom this political moment is like very life-threatening.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not one of those people. And so I think that's what I mean by like, with as much privilege as I have, like if I can conduct some sort of conversation or anything that helps people get onto the off ramp up, I don't know.
Yeah.
Then I should be doing that, you know?
That's, I think I feel sort of similar. Cause like, you know, I mean, despite being trans, you know, I'm fairly privileged too. Like I've had like a fairly easy life overall. Like, especially in just like my personal life, like I've never had too much like bad in my life despite everything. And like, I live in a safe blue state. And before that I lived in like a purplish state that was pretty safe. So like, I've never really faced the hardships that a lot of people in smaller states, like red states, people like in Tennessee and all of these other places have gone through. So like, I guess every once in a while, especially since Trump got in office, there is, I don't know if you've noticed this in any of your, like wherever you frequent, but there has been like a mass migration of trans people into like New York, California, and especially Chicago, especially because it's so cheap right now. Chicago is like fairly cheap. And every single week, like at different events, if it's like a trans event that I'm going to, there's like 2 or 3 new people every single time. And I'm like, I'm a talker. I like to talk. I like to meet new people. I'm fascinated by people. Just like as a general thing, I like to see what people are all about, get to know them. So I'll like talk to some of these people that I've never recognized before. And every single time they're like, yeah, I just moved here. I just came here from Kentucky, or I just came here from Texas. I just came here from Florida. And it's like, there are so many people that are like fleeing for their life and like barely getting what they need to get to a safer place. Yeah. And it's like, I have like been pretty safe for a while, and I feel pretty stable. And if I can, you know, do something in any way to sort of, I think off ramp is a good way to put it. Have that off ramp, because there will need to be some sort of off ramp for the people that I think are leaving that, or at least I hope are leaving that movement. I think some of the like special elections that we've seen has indicated that there has been some movement against Trump's thing.
Wasn't there like just one
yesterday in Texas?
Yeah, yesterday in Texas.
It was.
I just wanted to say really quick, guys, that as somebody with extreme privilege, relatively speaking, in these times, I wanted to thank you for having the initial conversation and then just for framing it that way, because June, when you and I first talked about even you appearing in the interview, I don't even know, is it my place to ask these questions? I don't know, like, what the right thing to do is like, it sounds audacious for me to be like, oh yeah, we should immediately, you're right, maybe forgive isn't the right word, but to off-ramp these people. And it's like, well, I don't know. I guess what I would say is I appreciate the way that you put that, because for me to conceive of like, oh yeah, we need to do work into forgiving these people or have the conversation of what that's going to look like. It's really easy for me to say that, you know what I mean? Because it's been, this whole administration is very low risk for me. So I just want to say I appreciated that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, I'm personally not of the, like, cut your family members off sect. But I'm also not like, go home and like coddle them either. I mean, one of the, and this kind of ties into cult deprogramming stuff. I mean, not that I am an expert cult deprogrammer, I'm certainly not. But one of the things that I know about, just from like documentaries and stuff, that you are supposed to do when you have someone who you know or love who is inside of a sort of high control group, is just remaining there so that they know if they ever decide to leave, or that it's not what they thought it was, or that, you know, for any reason at all, that there's still an opening for them to leave. And I think that's different for everyone. Like, you know, if you're a trans person fleeing a red state and fleeing your transphobic family in a red state and trying to get to a place where you can have, you know, basic human rights, I'm not going to be the person who's like, keep in contact with your mom every day and make sure she knows that she has somewhere to go. If she, like, that's what I mean about privilege. That's not the case for me. And so, like, you know, like, there's members of my extended family who are, I mean, especially on Israel, because, I mean, and I do what arguing I can, and I try to get through, but ultimately, like, and, you know, and my internet stuff, I think sometimes plagues my family, but like, I just try to remain open. And that's what I did actually with that friend that I was describing earlier too. I said to them, like, hey, I'm not sure how much further I can take this relationship right now, seeing as we're just so divided on this issue that is so important to me. Mm-hmm. But if one day you realize, I said this in much kinder words, but I was like, if one day you realize that you're in a genocide cult, like, you can leave that, and we'll figure out the rest of the stuff later, you know?
Yeah. I think putting it as like a cult, I think in the past, like, I would have been like, oh, that's like really cliche, or it's like, oh, it's like, come on, like a cult. But like, I think especially like, but like in the first administration, I would have been like, you know, these people are crazy. I think generally Trump supporters are insane and wild and like don't believe things that are real. But like, especially in this administration, I'm like, wait, but this is like actually a cult though. Like, you watch like it plays out every fucking day, every single week, where there is a news story. And it's like everyone on the left, or just general people, are like, oh my God, this is like, I can't believe this is happening. Right-wing media people silent. Everyone in the Trump administration silent. And then like JD Vance will come out with the narrative piece, and then they all start saying the same thing, and it filters down. And then all the people below them filter down, and keeps going down and down. And they're saying the exact same things. They have the exact same photos, same exact whatever it is. And it's like, wait, but it like actually is though. Like, the way that these people function, the way that these people distill their information, like everything is very cult like. It's like, I just, in the past, over like before this administration, round 2, I would have been a little bit more like, but I think it really is. And I think that's a good way to look at it, and maybe is a very useful way to frame it when trying to like off-ramp people.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. But I think if you,
I would add that, like, I think now is also, like, we're in a moment, I think, where a lot of people, like you mentioned, are fleeing. I think the Epstein stuff is just too much for a lot of people to take. Yeah. I think the ICE murders were too much for a lot of people to take. I mean, I was reading like conservative Reddit forums where people were like, I don't know, guys, you know, not much of a retort on this one. Like they were saying that about Renee Good. And then they were saying it, I mean, especially about Alex Preddy, because like, you know, with Renee Good, they were doing the whole, what direction of the car and where was he standing? And then with Alex Preddy, there was nothing you could even pull from. And we saw that even with the fact, you know, that they ended up investigating the murder, federally investigating the murder, which I don't think initially they were going to do because there was so much backlash. And, you know, there's just, I think for a lot of people, like he's always going to have this base. He's always going to have this base where he could, you know, I think it was a fake quote in the end, but like he could like stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot someone and they would still support him.
Was that a fake quote?
I don't think that was
real. I could have.
Maybe it was real.
That was in the debates.
Okay. Well, regardless, it is true. It is true.
It is either true. Way. It's true.
There is a base, but I don't think that base is enough to keep him in power forever.
Right.
And I think there is a movable part of the population that is currently moving away from him because it's all just too much.
It is. And I think to juxtapose this conversation, I wanted to sort of also touch on something that we've been seeing a little bit, which this is almost crazier to me, that there are, at the same time, it's becoming too much for so many people in this country to like still stay on board with him. There are people willingly right now, like this week or last week, 2 weeks ago, jumping on this like sinking ship and going all in. Like Nicki Minaj is, I think, the most well-known example of this. Yeah. And even just last night, I don't know if you guys know, I think her name is pronounced, it's just Sexy Red.
Red, yeah.
Yeah, that she also was like at Mar-a-Lago performing like for a wedding just last night or 2 nights ago. And it's like, it's odd to me, while at the same time, the general conversation is, for most people, this is too far. But then there are people like these two, where it's like they're jumping on board and like
Nicki
going
Minaj
all in.
To have pretty clear-cut motivations to cozy up with this administration. Who's this Sexy Red person?
Well, okay, so I don't actually totally. I mean, I half agree with you there. Okay, I think I don't know. Her motivations to me are actually a little bit confusing. Sexy Red too. I don't know as much about Sexy Red, but she was just performing. I think his name is Alex Brousseau. He's an advisor to Trump, who was also, he was the person who, it's like, there was some sort of triangle between Alex and Nicki Minaj and Amber Rose, who's another one. She was with Trump kind of from the beginning, though.
Yeah, she was.
At least of the second term. And I think he was the person who, like, through Amber Rose, like, absorbed Nicki Minaj into this movement in the 11th hour. I totally agree with you. If you are becoming like full MAGA mascot now, that's crazy. That's crazy. That's like joining the Nazis once they announced that they were going to do the Nuremberg trials. Like, it's like, you're like, now is the time. Now I'm finally into it. It's like
Hitler
crazy.
Already killed himself, dude. Like, what are you doing
exactly.
here? He's gone. It's over. Like, the door's closed. Yeah.
Literally that one gif that's like, the party ended 3 hours ago, but he's still here. Like, that's what Nicki Minaj is doing. It's really wild. But
and
she
like,
got that.
Go on. Sorry.
No, she got that Trump gold card, but it's unclear, which is to say, I think that she definitely wants her citizenship, and supposedly he's like selling these citizenships through his gold cards, which cost $1 million plus $15,000 processing fee. If you're nice to him, because you can buy citizenship now, but also it's unclear if that actually is true. Like, if these cards really mean anything, or if they're just pieces of paper.
In court, I think.
Right. Have they decided if it means anything?
I think that's still being settled. Wasn't there something to do with her husband? She was trying to get a pardon, and that's part of the reason she went after Gavin Newsom initially, is because Gavin Newsom refused to pardon. It was Maddie that gave me the kind of the rundown on that. So she was cozying up to Trump to get a pardon for her husband or something like that.
Yeah. So Nicki Minaj has 2 convicted sexual predators in her family. She has her husband who was convicted of rape in 1995. And then he was convicted of, I don't know what the actual conviction was, but he was, they moved from New York to California in 2023, and he did not immediately register as a sex offender, which you have to do when you move across state lines. So he was once again, like, there was a new conviction.
And then, I didn't realize that's what happened.
Yeah. And then, which was like a smaller conviction, for like violating, I think, the terms of your probation or something. And then with her brother, he was convicted of child rape in 2020. The thing with both of the rape convictions is that they're both state level. So theoretically, the president can't pardon those.
Oh.
The president could pardon the federal conviction of failing to register as a sex offender. But to do all of this, to get, and he's not in prison anymore. Like, it's to me, it doesn't really make sense. To go through everything that she's going through just for those pardons. I do think Nicki Minaj is kind of an evangelical Christian. And I think...
Is that like a new thing, though? I mean, like, she's always had sort of inconceivable politics. She's always been like back and forth and doing weird... she was like a Bernie person, and then she was like a Biden person, and then she said like some good things about Trump, and then she was like I voted for Joe Biden, and then she was like a Bernie again, and then now she's Trump. She's always been fairly indiscernible. But do you think has she always been like an evangelical Christian, or is this like a new thing?
I don't know her whole history with like religion. I do believe that now she's like really, really Christian, and I do think when Trump was sort of they did drone strike Nigeria over the alleged persecution of Christians in Nigeria,
right? With
like the Boko Haram violence, which actually targets more Muslims than it does Christians. But anyway, so that was when she initially got involved with MAGA, was because she spoke on behalf of MAGA at the UN, supporting their decision to invade Nigeria.
I forgot about that. That was pretty recent. That was like less than a year ago, actually.
Oh, it was a couple months ago.
Oh my God.
This whole thing has happened very quickly.
Holy shit.
But I do think to your
point,
point,
to put it together.
Yeah, but I do think to your point, Caleb, it did come also from these like local, California state grievances that she had with Newsom over like not helping
I had it a little
her
bit backwards, but yeah.
Yeah, I think she just like felt like Newsom wasn't giving her and her legal issues special treatment, because that's like not, I guess when you're a rich and famous celebrity, some people do expect things to work that way, but that's actually not how things work. And then I think from that, she extracted this like, well, I hate Democrats, and who hates Gavin Newsom? Donald Trump, and who immediately offered her a big pedestal and, microphone and, Turning Point speaking the right wing. So I think,
that's the thing, is if you're willing to just like sell just a quarter of your soul, these people will immediately jump on it and elevate you to like a level of like a grandioseness that you might have had before, like in like Nicki Minaj. But it's just such a common thread between all of these different people that we've talked about today, is like, if you just let them sort of get excited about you, and if you just say like one or two of the like right signals, like good genes, or like, if you're willing to just I'm thinking of like Samantha Fulnecki, if you're willing to just be like, I have this shitty essay, I'm gonna just submit it, and like you use this to like attack a single trans person, like they will go full court press for you if you're just willing to just give a little bit, if you're willing to signal just one thing that will let them create like a narrative of some kind. That's their whole MO.
You gotta admire, I don't know if admire is the right word for it, because I hate it, but the kind of the solidarity that the right has. Meanwhile, like on Blue Sky, people are trying to kill each other over being different kinds of communists and Trotskyists and anarchists or whatever.
Yeah. sometimes I'm like, yeah, I love that. I find that inter-community fighting very fun.
Dude,
but sometimes
the average conversation on Blue Sky about Yugoslavia has like more slurs in it than, you know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, but I know what you mean. It's like sometimes it's like, okay, there's like bigger things going on right now. I don't think we need to focus on all of this. And I have that thought a lot in a lot of different like regards to like with how people. I haven't seen a lot of it like recently, but there is like some trans discourse online where it's like, okay, I don't know if we need to be focusing on like pronouns in this way when there's like potentially like most states might not allow you to get estrogen soon. Like I feel like we have to have our priorities, you know. It's about priorities in some of these issues, I think.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, I can't speak to like, you know, trans discourse on a personal level, but like I will say, like, having been online for so long at this point and seeing so many cycles of discourse that just come and go, like, I think ultimately, like, people just want to talk about what's on their mind, and like, that's fine. And like, there's always, I mean, we relive this every year with kink at Pride discourse.
Oh, I know. That's the classic. Yeah.
And I'm like, ultimately the outcome of these conversations is that like, we all got to say something on Twitter. That's how it often feels. And so I'm like, yes, like on a legal level, I think nobody would probably disagree with like, we need to focus on like making sure trans people can still get medical care if that's what they require, than like, you know, pronoun related discourse. But also like, if everyone just wants to talk online, then it's like, it's the World Wide Web. There's a space to do that. I don't know.
I think in the past, I would have been very likely to, at every discourse that comes my way, I would jump in and, you know, get involved in it. But then I think part of it was that I was just getting older and I didn't really have it in me. But I think it was also partly that whenever I would see specifically, I think this is a good example of this actually, kink at Pride, I would start to see like a lot of a lot of the more heated discourse would always spawn from like right wingers. Mm-hmm. It would always be sort of like them egging a lot of it on. And then from there, it sort of gets distilled in heated conversation inter-community while they're sort of like poking at the bubble of it and sort of like throwing different things into it. And it's like they're trying to like manipulate the way we talk to each other and think about each other. And I think that's a really like bad, like, I don't know if we should be engaging in like a frame that they're sort of wanting us to, and like giving us the things to discourse over. Because I don't know, there was like 2 years ago, I think it was like 2023 when in particular things got really notably like bad and conservatives noticeably backslid on even like gay marriage, where there was I think there was near the White House there was some like Pride event, and there was a trans woman who wasn't wearing a top. And that was like, do you remember that? Do you remember that one where, and
she was wearing a top. She lifted it up for a second for a TikTok video.
That's what it was. Yeah, I forget exactly. But see, this is the thing is like enough right wingers, just a million of them all say the same thing. And even in my mind, I don't even remember what was real about that situation, because that's what they're sort of dominating the conversation in that way. So it's like whenever I see discourses like this that feel a little like, okay, this is like, I feel like we're pointing guns at each other for the wrong reasons right now. And I don't like that. So I will just scroll past it and not say a word.
Yeah. Yes. I remember when that happened. I think I was like, I didn't go to that event. I was not there, but I don't know if I was still getting invited to those things at that time, because it was like, there was, for me with the White House events, there was like before and after October 7th. Okay. And because once I started talking about Palestine, those invites were not coming anymore from the Biden admin social media team. But I remember seeing that it was like, it was a trans influencer, and they were like in the backyard doing some Pride event, backyard of the White House, or like South Lawn or something. I guess there's not like a backyard, but she at one point while they were like filming this TikTok, like basically flashed the camera, and nobody cared except like these right wing media influencers. I mean, on a personal level, like, would I have done that? Probably not. But also, like, I'm not really like a bombastic individual. I think, you know, I did remember having extensive discourse about like the Senate twink, which I guess is like,
oh my God, I remember that actually. Yeah, the guy that had sex in the Senate hall or whatever.
Yeah, he was a Senate staffer who got fucked in Amy Klobuchar's chair in the Senate hearing room. But which was fucking, you know, like I loved that. And
that was funny. Yeah. Like, let's be honest here. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, it was great. And I think he's on OnlyFans now. He dropped out of politics. He actually moved out of America.
Whoa, really?
Yeah. He like reappeared a year later and he was like, I live in like New Zealand or something and I have an OnlyFans. But
that's,
you know,
beast mode. Hell yeah.
But like, I'll say about the TikTok, what I said about that at the time, which was that like worse things happen in that building that affect human life every single day. Yeah. I don't really care if someone like flashes their tits. Now, this is also what I say when I remind people that like I'm not a democratic strategist and like not every one of my beliefs I think is politically expedient. Like I don't think the Democrats should run on like we're all going to start having sex in the Senate room, you know? But do I care on a personal level? Like, do I live? I do. I don't care and I do live. And a lot of the hysteria does come from the right, and it ends up with just like queer people yelling about like should she or shouldn't she, and it's like who cares? They're gonna hate us no matter what.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. That's why I think in recent years I've been hesitant to sort of get involved on some of these different things. What about you, Caleb? Have you gotten involved in pride flag discourse recently? What's your take on the pride flag?
The only really issue that I've been having with it lately is because I just moved to my new house, and I thought, like, is it stolen valor for me to have a pride flag next to my Seattle Seahawks flag? And I don't know, am I stealing valor? What am I doing here? I got one. It's on the way. Okay. And then I was talking to my friend about it. She made the joke about it being stolen valor, and I thought, oh shit, is she right? She was like just messing with me, but it's been like kind of swimming around in my head.
I don't think it's stolen valor. I think that's a nice thing. I miss the days where I will see a very genuinely really great, well-meaning ally just like have like a trans pride flag on their desk or something. We don't really get that a lot these days, and I would love if you were one of those people. I think you could bring it back. Yeah, bring back the well-meaning ally.
It's on the way from Etsy, and I'll also just say that I don't know that many people are going to take a look at me and be like, yeah, that guy's gay. Like, pretty much everybody knows what they're looking at when they see me. So
maybe it'll help them be like, oh, this guy's dope, actually, because I feel like no offense to you, but I think if someone just came across you, they'd be like, it's either way here. This could be like a Trump guy.
I get that all the time. It's so bad at work too when people think you're one of them. It's like, oh god damn, like I can't, like, what do I do here, you know? They start talking to you like you're one of the fellas. That's not that awesome, I have to say.
I never deal with that, so it's really interesting. That's like when I talk to gay guys sometimes who are like more masculine presenting, and they're like, I feel like I have to like come out to everyone I meet because otherwise they don't know. And I'm like, I do actually, like, I imagine that's difficult. Like, I don't think it's probably difficult to like move through the world as a straight passing person generally, but like I imagine that's like complicated. But also I don't relate. No one ever asks me what my sexuality is or assumes that I'm not gay.
No, it is. I think that is actually a genuinely interesting conversation, because oftentimes I run across this online every once in a while, where there will be like a very straight passing woman or man, and they won't feel they often say they don't feel like queer enough, and they feel like it's a sort of a complicated thing, and sometimes they'll sort of get dunked on for that. But it's like, I like kind of see where they're coming from, because like if you identify as queer of some way and you feel like if you show up to like a queer event or something, or like a gay event or a lesbian event, and you don't feel like you feel like you might be perceived as like invading a space, like I get why that would be uncomfortable, especially if you want to embrace that a little bit more. my whole thing is, as long as someone, like, I don't care if someone misgenders me, but as long as they kind of perceive that I got some weird shit going on, I'm fine with it. Like, I'll take whatever like, as long as you can tell that I'm a faggot, like, thank God, like, that job well done on my part.
Yeah.
But like, so I do feel for people that are like, that don't like lean that, like, or they're not able to sort of experience that and they sort of struggle. I think that is like an interesting thing. That's an interesting discourse. I think that's a good discourse to have, is like, what I don't know, seeing what these people feel.
Right, exactly. Let's hash it out on Twitter. Like, whatever.
The place that everyone has good takes on. Yeah.
I think what you were saying is like true, though. It speaks to me when you're just like, I think I just got older and like don't have the energy. I think that's what I'm, because a lot of these conversations are like, these like intra-community conversations are genuinely interesting to me. And like how your politics play into how you think about these, like, I don't know, sometimes what seem like silly or fractional disagreements that people have. Like, it is interesting to me, but man, like, I don't know. I'm 27, you know. I don't have time.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. I for me, it was like I hit 29 and I have like a lot going on in my personal life, and I'm like, I just like don't have it in me anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I'm 30 now, and I'm just like, I look at some of it and I'm like, I'm glad other people are having a good time with this, because goddamn, I'm going to just keep moving on, and I'm going to find a sea lion video and I'm going to laugh at that sea lion video. That's what I have. That's the like amount of mind space I have for viewing things these days online.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. I think we're close to an hour. I think, do either of you have any last thoughts about anything we've talked about today before I think we're about to wrap up?
I've so enjoyed rehashing some of this, and I've thought a lot about, especially with Ashley St. Clair, I've thought a lot about that conversation since we put it out and since we had it.
Yeah.
And yeah, like what it means to off ramp versus forgive. And I think right now, like as a political strategy, off ramp is necessary. And I guess, I don't know. I always end my podcast with like some sort of call to action.
Yeah.
Like, you know, small sort of personal call to actions, maybe call to action within yourself. But I think just like generally, like if you have the capacity to be open to like a family member who might at this very unique point in Trump's political career be like, I can't do this anymore. Like there was just an SNL skit about this last night about like the mom who's announcing to her kids that she thinks she was wrong. And the kids, like the kids are trying to not scream at her that like, you know, they've been telling her the whole time. And it was very funny. Shout out Ashley Padilla. Padilla, I don't know. But I think if you're, you know, again, especially like young white leftist with MAGA family members, like make yourself available as an off-ramp. I think that's just like a responsibility that I feel like I have. So yeah.
No, I think that's a great like way to put it. And especially I do want to emphasize the like off ramp, not forgive, because I did see a lot of people in the comments of that being like, I can never forgive someone like her. And it's like, actually, that's totally fair. And I think she would probably agree with you that you don't have to forgive her, because that's like, I don't think that's what like that conversation was necessarily about. And I don't think that's like what I wanted the takeaway from that to be, because it's not about forgiveness. It's about like where to go from like the recognition that they might have fucked up. And it's like, what can they do to like change? It's like less about like welcoming them into the leftist community, and it's more about the like, okay, you got to like work on some shit. Like you have like some stuff, some introspection to do. It's more about that off ramping. And I think that's like a perfect way to put it. No one needs to forgive like a shit. Like if someone asks you to forgive Donald Trump on his deathbed, like no. Like of course not. No, never. No, we will never. Of course not. So I think that is a good like takeaway in that regard to that conversation specifically.
I think what I would say is that'll speak to kind of the people that are a bit like me when I was talking earlier about like maybe you're not sure what the right thing to do is. I just think that in general we as a country, as a world, as leftists, whatever, have to do something that has never been really done before, and it's going to be very difficult. And that is this process of like navigating what the future looks like and how to off ramp, when to forgive, if to forgive, so on and so on. And I just think that it's best if we all listen a whole lot more than we talk. I know that's such corny shit to say, but
on a podcast.
I know, right? On a podcast, but like listen to the people who it affects more than you, especially like again if we're talking about who's where in with privilege or whatever, and just try and keep the voices of those that have been impacted most by this administration a little bit front and center when we're going through this process. I guess would be my call to action.
Totally.
Hell yeah. Awesome. Do you have anything you want to plug before we head out of here?
Just come on down and listen to my podcast, A Bit Fruity, like the innuendo for homosexual. It is
great name. I love it.
Anywhere you get podcasts. It's on YouTube if you prefer videos. I do my makeup for those, unlike my current presentation, which I'm so happy that you can't see. And
the benefits of audio only podcasts.
Oh God, living the dream over here. And all my socials are MattXIV, which is the Roman numeral for 14, which is how old I was when I made the Instagram account. And it's too late to change it now. So whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, definitely go check out that show. For those who haven't seen it yet or haven't checked it out yet, I was on there about 2 weeks ago now. So I thought that was a cool conversation. If you haven't watched that yet, go check that out. And it's a great podcast. Check out more than just that one.
Thanks.
But no, thank you for coming on, Matt. I think we're good here. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.